NIA has successfully negotiated a $115 million facility from Exim, China to undertake a fresh registration of all Ghanaians. The NIA 6 years ago conducted a mass registration exercise. It completed this exercise in 7 regions and parts of the 3 northern regions and distributed cards in parts of the Greater Accra. Tonight, we question the relevance of a fresh registration exercise. Is this another avenue of waste? This is today's big story with me, Stephen NT.
The old data into
Now, about 21.62 million Ghana cedis was spent on the previous mass registration and card distribution exercises. However, the National Identification Authority has successfully negotiated a $115 million facility from Exim, China to undertake a new project upon cabinet and parliamentary approval. Now, a test run by November 1st, 2014 of what the NIA calls expanded registration project will involve the retrieval of a little over 1 million Ghana cards already issued and replaced instantly with a smart identifiable card. This seems quite a lot of things for us to grapple with. Let's get onto the telephone lines now and speak to Bertha Jebler, who is the Public Relations Officer of the National Identification Authority. I'm told that Bertha is not yet on the line, but Kofi Bentil, who is Imani Vice President, is joining us now. Kofi, you are hoping that the NIA gets it right this time and it shouldn't cost us $100 million for fresh registration. Any reasons why?
good evening. Yes, there is no argument about the fact that we do need to have some kind of a national identification card. So the question is how. I have had occasion to give, a lecture on this before, and I have made the point that it is not really a difficult thing to do. Frankly speaking, it is very similar to the cards that the banks issue. All right, like the ATM card. The technology is more or less the same. They will say a number of things about whatever, but more or less it is about the same thing. To that extent, therefore, you can match the kind of costs that we are looking at and the kind of expertise required. Now, you have an NIA which has been set up for a number of years now, and they have been giving tens of millions of dollars to execute something which is really not a difficult thing to do. And over the many years that they've had this money and this setup and everything, they've not been able to do it. Now, you have a situation where they claim to be going for another $100 million or so to do the same thing that they have not been able to do in the past. Where is the guarantee that they can do it? My issue has to do with the leadership of the NIA over the period. Different people have come and gone, and I know there's a new person there now, but we must question who is making those appointments and how come he's not able to get competent people to execute on this thing. Now, even the current job that they are going to do, there are questions to be asked. Why would they even retrieve the old cards? If somebody has a card that is not going to work or is not useful anymore or whatever, you have to issue them a new card. The old card is no longer there. But why would you have to spend money to retrieve the old cards? I don't know how that decision, becomes part of the job they have to do. And we must make note of the fact that they cannot contract a loan without Parliament. It's a foreign loan, okay? So I expect that it's not just cabinet approval that they are going to seek, but they are going to have this thing run through Parliament. We have all kinds of situations where matters have gone to court, and this matter has been settled, very, very clearly. So I worry not about the fact that the cards have not necessarily been issued, because I think cards can be issued. Any serious outfit will be able to issue 50 million cards in the space of 1 year. But our NIA has not been able to do it. So I'm worried about putting more money behind that clearly, ineffective system. Now, the NIA itself has also said many times that it is working on a PPP model. It has been working on this PPP model for a number of years with a particular PPP partner, and they still have not been able to execute on this. So I don't know why they will do the same things which have not given them the results that we are looking for. I would think that there must be at least 4 companies involved in this, and the card system must be standardized so that they can all issue the same cards, and let there be a bit of competition, leave them alone to issue the cards. And citizens of Ghana are prepared to pay for these cards. We have actually done a check. People want these cards, not even because they want national identification cards, but because these cards have extra value to them. They use them for so many other things. You need them in a bank, you need them in all kinds of other places. And people are prepared to pay a certain amount of money for the cards. So it is even a flawed argument that government has to bear the cost of the payment, or the cost for the issuance of these cards. There's another issue that the NIA has to deal with. Recently, they charged foreigners in this country exorbitant amounts of money to issue them with foreigners' identity cards, something which had been done just a few months earlier. Even that, when they had to issue just under 1 million cards, they have not been able to execute that, even when a lot of money was collected. So there are so many questions to be asked about the setup called the NIA. And until those questions are answered and properly laid to rest, I don't think it makes sense for us to put any more money behind these.
Kofi, so what? You smell fish or you smell misappropriation?
I don't smell anything. I can see incompetence when I see it. And I think that our leaders must be, upstanding and call a thing what it is. The NIA clearly has been incompetent in delivering on these cards. Okay? It cannot do the same things and expect a different result. Of course, I think there's corruption there. But until you have a firm proof of certain things, I mean, I will not go to town on that. If I'm called upon, well, maybe we'll see where that ends.
Right.
But clearly, the people who appoint the people to do the work in the NIA must sit up and check again who they are appointing and why they should continue to allow them to do the work they have not been able to do.
Right, Kofi Bento, we'll have you hold briefly. Now, a lot of civil society group, apart from Kofi Bento, who is with Imani, are also against the move by the NIA to contract $115 million facility. Apia Domako is the regional coordinator for CATS International. He joins me now in the studio for a discussion on this. Good evening, sir.
Thank you, sir.
It's very worrying, isn't it, that we have over 21.6 million or so pumped into a previous registration exercise, which appears suspending. It wasn't exactly completed. I mean, I registered myself and my family. I don't have a card. None of us have any. And some people in the northern region get some cards, some don't. And now we're starting all over again. What's happening?
Well, I think we need not move to any new chapter until we take a stock of what happened in the past. We learn our lessons before we go forward with this new project. Even before we go to this new project, there are a lot of issues that we need to ask ourselves. First, the first question is, one, does the NIA has a right to negotiate for a loan? Because we know from the operations that they don't charge subscribers money if you register. I mean, they don't charge people money if you get a card.
So they have no revenue. They don't earn any income.
They don't earn revenue. So how are they going to pay for the money that they are going to get?
It's government. Government is going to source that loan on behalf of NIA, perhaps?
No. According to the story which appeared in the Daily Graphic today, it said that the board of the NIA are in talks with the Exim Bank of China for that loan facility. Unless the graphic reporter got it wrong, I believe that it is wrong in the first place for the NIA to get it. And two, I think we got the registration in a wrong start. There were so many fundamentals that we need to do before we move on to the national identification system. The first thing we need to do is that we must first have a national database. That should start from the birth. As soon as you are born, you are registered.
But we have a couple of databases here and there. We have death and births, we have passports, Ghana, we have driving licenses. All of these are biometrics that civil services doing biometric registration, National Health Insurance Authority, biometric. What is happening? I mean, are we not able to aggregate all these individual databases into one?
You see, I think one, it is an issue of we not being able to think beyond the box. Because we are using the same taxpayers' money to do national NHA card, DVLA card, do the same for Electoral Commission, as well as Senate is also doing this. And every institution, very soon, GPRT also, we're also doing our biometric ID. Can't we have an integrated ID card which will can be applicable for everything? Say that At the point of usage, say if you want to go and
Right.
vote, they just swipe.
I will have you hold briefly. This is critical. We have Bertha Jebler, who is Communications Director of the National Identification Authority, joining me on the line now. Good evening, Bertha, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good evening to you and your listeners.
There are many questions that are being asked. I asked a simple question right now of my guest in studio that we have several forms of ID systems around the country. We have the passport office taking some form of biometric data from citizens. We have the driving license data from the DVLA. We have national health insurance. We even have civil service. We have SNIT. I mean, biometric data everywhere. Why can't we work with existing databases and aggregate all of these into one? Why do we need the NIA to start fresh registration?
I want to say that NIA is another database. We are supposed to do a national identification. All of these institutions that you have mentioned are institutional, they are collective institutional database on
right. So because they have institutional databases, are they not able to access your database, for example, and use it for the purposes of their work than collect their own?
So that is the reverse of the question. I cannot be answering that question. It should be a government policy to say that the NIA was established for the purpose of collecting biometric data for the use of this country, and so for that reason, we should all just do that. We collect that data instead of spending money in doing duplicates or multiples of biometric systems, which are not necessary anyway. If you have the personal identification number in a database, it's as good as going to collect a new print from the package.
Right, so tell me what informed the decision of the National Identification Authority to start this fresh registration. I'm asking this bearing in mind that you already spent some amount of money to do registration, which you've distributed cards to some parts of the country, parts of Accra, parts of the 3 northern regions. You registered 7. I think you did 7 regions. You covered 7 regions.
All done 10 regions.
10 regions. So all of these null and void?
We not going to wait. We are going to put the data from the old system into the new system. And so when you come to the center and you've already registered under the old system, we do an update of your personal information. We take additional fingerprints because that is the international standard. Right now, we have collected 4 fingerprints, but the trend is to do 10 fingerprints. We have to take additional information to serve the data needs of or some of these institutions that you have already mentioned. We have been working with them, and they say they cannot use our data because we don't have those data in our system. We need to collect that additional data. Then we have learned from the past the distribution exercise that we did in the Greater Accra region, and we learned our lesson that it's not a very efficient way of issuing ID cards because we have about 50% of the cards returned to our office, and so there's an instant issuance technology right now, which we are taking advantage of, and so we will be issuing our cards. Then also, the card we have currently is a 2D barcode with 1 kilobyte storage capacity. And if government of Ghana decides to go the way of having a harmonization of all databases and using one card for multiple transactions, then it means that we have to bring out a card that has.
Let me have you hold. I mean, all of this is a bit confusing for me. I'm sure that many of my viewers are also confused. I mean, you've already started registering, and you've told me that you've done 10 regions, and so you're going back and you are recalling all the database and data you have collected, merge into a new one, and then issue instant ID cards. I mean, didn't you think about this ahead of time? Why now? I mean, why spend money to do a first stage and then you spend another money to do a second stage? Does the NIA have the mandate anyway to go to Exim Bank in China?
Let me explain this to you. And the issue is that we started this national identification system over 10 years now. And at the time that we were going to contract for this solution, that was what was available. We had the top, one of the top companies that are into identification in the world, supplying us with equipment and technology to do this. Now, technology has evolved, and when we reach now, we have to do other things to upgrade the system. So it is not as if NIA did not have a vision of what will be happening in the future, but this is what we have now, and we need to take advantage of that situation. Now, what the loan that the Grafton spoke about is not NIA as an institution that has gone to China to arrange the loan. NIA put out an expression of interest for companies to come and help us do a public-private partnership to be able to finish and complete the national identification system for families. It is that company that has arranged a concessionary loan on their own behalf and on behalf of this country. What is happening is that it's not the government of Ghana that's going to pay this loan. We only need a sovereign guarantee for the loan to become a country, for them to supply us the technology and all that we have.
That's a whole new ball game. You need sovereign guarantee. You need to go into partnership with another private company to have a public-private partnership. Why all these murky procedures if you had thought about it in advance? It's like you spend a sum of money, almost 22.6 million Ghana cedis as a trial, and then you go again for another because technology has evolved.
I think we are missing the point. We acquired the technology at a period of time to do work. We are going to do that work based on that technology, which is collect data. Whether we are going back to issue the cards to the people means that we are going to still print the cards, go back into the communities and distribute.
Right, but I think you've
more efficient to go and do an instant issuance of these cards than printing, and people don't collect them.
I mean, this is a lot of money being sunk into this. I'll bring Kofi Bentil on, and then Kofi, I'm sure you've heard Bertha and all the explanations she has given us, including the fact that the NI is in partnership with a private company to secure a sovereign guarantee for that loan. And technology has evolved, so they need to upgrade their systems in order to get a new database. I'm confused, absolutely. Is there anything you want to say to everything she has said?
The point is very simple. The NIA was set up to do a very simple thing. And that is to collect and also a database and issue ID cards. They have failed to do it. Everything that they are telling us is not a secret. And the point I want to make is that this is not a difficult thing to do. And so, why are they telling us what this is whatever it is? They're really bad at it. No.
Right.
We give them another $100 million to do something that they failed to do earlier. And I'm asking who will do that in their right person? Okay? So the managers of NIA ought to really explain why they failed, and they shouldn't tell us this technology, because there has been technology for the past 25 years for doing what they were asked to do from 2007. Okay? And they were given more than enough money to do that. So they should really tell us why they were not able to do it and why we should spend the same money on that.
Right, let me come to studio. I mean, you heard Bertha, I don't know, but a lot of things she said makes my head fall a bit, because one, I do know that just like Kofi Bentil raised, the technology of collecting data is the same old technology that even the banks use up to today, and that this looks like the NIA started something and couldn't finish. Really, as coming from civil society, what major concerns do you see in this picture that has been created for us by Bertha?
I think it is the issue of procurement by the authority to get something new after the botched attempt. And so many questions linger in my mind. The first one is, have they even thought through why the current system went wrong? What are some of the measures that they are going to put, saying that the mistakes will not repeat itself again? Because maybe in the next 10 years, they will come and tell us that the technology is outdated, and so we need to that time it will be $200 million to do the same project again, and then we'll be increasing on an incremental level. So one, I think the authority needs to sit down and try to get to the bottom of the issue, say that the mistake that happened will not happen again. And seriously, I can tell you point blank that we don't need a new system. Because if you go to most countries, they still use what the authority is using now.
No.
So what is the need for another thing? And even at this time of our economic crisis, is that the best way to spend money? You are going for IMF bailout to balance your, so many issues. And you are going to scrap
again for national identification.
No,
but she's saying that they are not scrapping the old one. They're more like migrating the data they have into a new one. So when, for example, you come in, they take your fingerprints again, then those fingerprints might possibly activate your information that's already sitting in the system, and then they will migrate it into a new database. That shouldn't be seen as wasteful, should it?
But they say they're going to retrieve the old card. And to me, I think that the cards that the authority is going to issue is not going to be machine readable. Just going to be what visual, you sight on it. If I need to check your card, I look at it and make sure that the picture match you, and then for me to know your identity.
Right.
So I don't think there's a need for them to even scrap the old card. Unless, like recently, EcoBank said that all their ATM cards were magnetic strip card. And then they wanted to move to a chip one. Because it was a machine readable, then it made sense for them to do that. Because this one, the eye can still see. So why are they going to scrap it?
Right. Until Bertha is off the line, I would have put some of the issues to Bertha. I need to give you 30 seconds for your final comments. This is a picture we have. I mean, no matter what we do, we're going to spend another $115 million to do expanded registration of something that should have finished long ago. Kofi Bentil is raising the fact that NI seem to have failed. What's your final comments on this?
I agree with Mr. Bentil. They have failed because they could not deliver on their mandate. They could not deliver the cars that they managed to produce. And what is the guarantee that at this time they're going to be able to do the work?
Right. I'm grateful for your time. No guarantees so far. My name is Stephen Enti. This is today's big story. We'll be right back with and continue with our show. Stay with us. Now, welcome back. Joe News has learned that the Bureau of National Investigations, BNI, has picked up the head of Treasury at the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Shraj, for questioning. Sonny Eric Adinyera is on secondment at Shraj from the Controller and Accountant General's Department. It is unclear if the BNI's action has anything to do with the recent accommodation scandal involving the Commissioner Loretta Lamte. Sources tell Joe News the BNI is also looking into alleged pensions fraud in which the Shraj treasurer is alleged to be involved. Commissioner Ms. Loretta Lamte has come under the spotlight following allegations she spent over $148,000 in 33 months for her rent at the African Union AU Village from November 2011 to August 9, 2014 when she moved out. She later checked into a hotel where we're told she paid $456 per night, whilst renovation works at her official accommodation continued to delay. The facelift, which is costing the state up to 162 million thousand, I beg your pardon, Ghana cedis. It's taken 2 years to complete. A parliamentary subcommittee is set to be probing this, but facing frustrations here and there because she has allegedly refused to honor their invitations. Now, the Alliance for Accountable Governance, AFAG, has already served notice of a demonstration against Loretta Lamte, the Commissioner for the Human Rights and Administrative Justice. So, will this fresh development make AFAG rescind its decision to demonstrate? I have in the studio with me Dr. Samuel Kwejo-Frimpong, a member of AFAG. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
You're a convener. I mean, I like your names, convener or chairman, or what are you in AFAG? Just an ordinary, just a member.
Yes,
now,
yes.
I'm curious that the BNI starts an investigation and picks up head of Treasury. What I know is that the Shraj boss and her position is protected under the Constitution. Now, there must be somebody who is lodging a complaint for such an investigation to start against her. But whatever it is, you served notice. Does this make you happy that the BNI has gone ahead to at least take some action on this?
I'm not too sure if we should say it makes her happy, because our call is for her to resign. So we are asking her to resign. But we are a little bit happy that at least we are seeing a state agency getting involved, showing concern. something that we expected earlier on.
But there are complicated procedures. I mean, constitutional procedures. If she has to resign, she just cannot resign. You know, the law works differently.
No, it should be possible for her to resign. This is moral. You are someone already. This is a body constitutionally mandated to help solve some of these alleged malpractices within the government sector. And you yourself, you are found involved in this act. Morally, the best thing to do is to step aside. If you know that your conscience is clear, if you know that you are not involved in anything like that, step aside. Let's investigate, go on to prove you innocent.
So you're one of those who are arguing that her continuous stay in office is tarnishing the image of Shraj?
It's not just tarnishing the image. It's showing, I don't want to use the word arrogance.
You
but
should be able to say what you want to say.
It's affecting the other ladies, other women who are inspiring.
You think she's being arrogant by
yes,
continuing to stay in office?
Because this is a lady, this is a woman who was on the board chairman or board chairperson of Ghana Commercial Bank. You had issues, you were forced by the public to resign. Now you find yourself as in charge of a body, and not a small body by stretch. And even already you've gone against the rent control rule. We are not supposed to pay a rent beyond 6 months, something that we're already crying for, that the government should bring it back to even a month or two. Then you have gone ahead to pay for about a year. Already you've done something which is wrong. Aside that, you are staying in a hotel. Ghanaians are suffering. The government is calling on us to tighten the belt.
You seem extremely passionate about the issue. The fact that somebody has been picked as Shraj and BNI has started investigations doesn't soothe you at all?
We've not been told whether it is based on what has been said about Madam Lamte. For whether you know, maybe it is a different issue to cover up what she has done. Yes, maybe just to cover her up. We want to see her to resign, to prove that yes, indeed, I'm resigning. If Ghanaians think that I've done something wrong, I'm resigning my position. If the government investigates and proves that you are innocent, you can be recalled back.
But why would you back your cause of her to resign by starting the processes of impeachment, where you lodge a formal complaint, investigations are conducted, and then an impeachment process could start against her? Constitutionally, as a citizen, you can do that. Why is AFAC not taking that route?
No, there are a lot of actions that we are going to take. We've already stated that we'll start by demonstrating, but we don't want to get to that extent.
You think demonstrations will do anything?
We don't even want to get to that point. We want her to resign to prove that yes, I'm innocent, or even if you know you are not innocent, just resign, because what you've done is morally wrong. Ghanaians are suffering. We are all crying.
You haven't really said anything about the BNI's arrest.
No, because
you think that you are not well informed about the reasons for.
Yes, we've not been told of the reasons, and we think that if anything at all, should someone be picked up, she should be the first person.
You're not rescinding your decision to go and demonstrate.
Not at all.
You are going ahead.
No, it depends. We are expecting her to resign.
Okay, if she does,
then we are forced to do that.
Okay. Yeah. I'm grateful for your time, Dr. Samuel Kwadwo Frimpong,
Thank you.
as a member of AFAG. And this is where we could finish with today's big story. We'll be right back with the interactive segment. Stay with us.